Before the Great War, the Enclave was a cabal of powerful individuals from across the United States, including presidents, members of Joint Chief of Staff, prize-winning scientists, members of the military, influential politicians, and other powerful men and women who together formed the group. In the opinion of the members, it was the greatest assembly of minds on American soil. However, to the outside, particularly in the later centuries, it wasn't the United States, but the rich and powerful unwilling to give up their power. The Enclave was involved in many of the deepest conspiracies and secrets of the federal government, such as the covering up of the existence of extraterrestrial life, mainly to the ends of studying the alien technology for their own use. As the resource wars dragged on and the risk of nuclear war was increased, members of the Enclave invested into various measures to survive the coming war. Funded by corporate and government money, these installations would enable the Enclave to continue waging war even after the United States ceased to exist. One such installation was a presidential oil rig out in the Pacific Ocean owned by Poseidon Oil, with the White Springs Congressional Bunker acting as a hub for future Enclave operations, covertly funded by funds embezzled by the Department of Agriculture and its secretary Thomas Eckhart. Eventually, the Enclave used Project Safehouse and Vault-Tec's network of underground shelters for a grand social experiment, to test the occupants under unique circumstances. Vault monitoring and research were conducted under the Vault Behavioral Project. In order to monitor the population being experimented upon, the Enclave's oil rig possessed a great deal of equipment that allowed them to observe and control the vaults. For example, the Enclave sent the all-clear signal to Vault 8 shortly after the war, prompting them to leave their vault and build their city. The original idea behind the Vault experiments was to gather data to enable the creation of a multi-generational starship to settle on another planet, as the Enclave assumed that the Earth would be rendered inhabitable by the nuclear war and human civilization would need to expand into the stars to survive. In March of 2077, with the world heading directly for nuclear confrontation, the President of the United States and other members of the Enclave retreated to various fortified areas around the globe. On October 23rd of 2077, the Great War resulted in the destruction of the Old World and the creation of the post-atomic wasteland that would dominate the globe for the next several hundred years. The United States government largely ceased to exist, and despite well-prepared plans, the nuclear attack caught the Enclave by surprise. Communications between the White Springs and the rest of the Enclave was mysteriously cut off almost as soon as the bombs dropped. Short of physically cutting the hardline communication systems, this should have never been possible. Without contact with the oil rig, Raven Rock, and other Enclave outposts, Eckhart proclaimed himself as a president of the United States and Appalachian Enclave. Although Eckhart's reign lasted less than a decade, it left an undeniable mark on the region and brought humanity to near extinction. He unleashed progressively worse horrors upon Appalachia, from liberators, through super mutants, to scorch beasts, which are massive mutated bats created by the Enclave, infected with a plague capable of controlling living creatures.